So I always found the Spanish people to be very curious, um, especially like in Spain. There's a lot of the older, like a very high senior citizen population, and so they would sort of keep to themselves, but they were very curious about things. Like we would always see them in the park, and I remember like seeing like they would just like sort of like investigate things or be curious about things. I remember one time there was like um, a broken bottle on the ground, and there was just a bunch of like senior citizen, these guys just like staring at it and just discussing about it, how it got there, and so forth, and just like I don't know. I guess that's how they were passing the time. They would also play games in the park, like chess or what we would call petanca, which most people call I forget what people call it here. But it's like the little ball. You throw it, and then you have these bigger balls that you have to throw and get closer to it. I forget what that's called. But yeah, in Spain, they play that game a lot in the park, and it was like with like really heavy metal balls or horseshoes and things like that. Spain has a lot of parks. Like every single city had a park and had plazas, and you would get around mostly by just walking. And what was always nice is that everything's cobblestoned, and you get to see like the old world. It was always a very unique experience to me. And the thing that I always noticed about the Spanish people, and that I ended up loving about it, was that they were reserved, but then once you like got into their space and into their circle, like they were like your best friends for life. Like at first, like they would not want anything to do with you, but then if you hit off on a topic that they agreed on, or if like that touched home for them, they're like you were buddy buddy, and then they would just like grab you and like hug you and like just like grab the back of your neck and squeeze it, and they're like yeah, and like be very touchy. But at first it's like I was sort of like don't come to my door, don't touch me or anything. But then if you said something that made them laugh or just spark curiosity, then like that you and this person you never met before are best friends. And there was times where like it was like you want to come in to eat, and it's like okay, like, and we just knocked on the stranger's door, but they're like we're about to eat, you guys look like great guys, come in and have some supper with us. And it's like okay. And or yeah, like it was always really interesting to see that, like to see how I felt it was like that throughout the whole northern area, because I got to surf from both sides and the whole mission. And so I served like in 7 different areas, so I got to experience that everywhere. It was like everywhere we went, like they would become your best friend. So it was great. And they weren't always members. They were people we just met on the street, and so that was always a fun experience to see that. Um, One thing, here's a big comparison with the culture. Like the teenagers would tend to be scared of us. Like if they would try to talk to us in English, and they would say how are you doing or something like that, or like they would try to say a few English phrases, and if we try to talk to them, they'd sort of like laugh and like run away. And it was sort of weird, because then we would see them sometimes act really tough, and so then if we'd confront them about it, we're like, oh hey, like what are you talking about? They would just sort of like run away, or like just like keep quiet and not say anything anymore. And it was sort of funny. um, I don't know why, but that was something I never understood. Even asking some of the members who were kids there, like we would sort of ask them like, why did the other kids like run away? And they're like, oh, I don't know, like, yeah.